All right, YouTube, what's up? I'm back. It's like the December 20th or something like that. And I posted some pictures, I dropped like that little, really poorly put together YouTube short about that new housing faceplate with the pockets in it. Saved a bunch of weight on that thing. In fact, let's go over here. Take a little close up of that. So here we go. There's that faceplate. The pockets turned out just killer. I went ahead and made 8 of them, and because that's what fit the material bill. Got all the little tab and keys in the back. They're all drilled and tapped. Everything's ready to go. The surface finish looks just fantastic from the drum sander. Yeah, they turn out awesome, and they are 3 pounds lighter. 3 pounds lighter than the other faceplate. So getting rid of some of that material. They're still symmetrical as far as you looking at it from the back, but I left this pocket for the axle tube bigger, got a little bit more overlap. It also put the bulkhead. What I basically did is I made the bulkheads, the inner bulkheads at the same location, side to side. This made it so it holds less oil too. So my other housings, when I made them, I made them to hold a good amount of oil because the thought was that most people are driving these things on the street. And so when you think about driving something at, 60, 70 miles an hour on the street with a 410 gear, like maybe you got your overdrive, but you got a 410 gear, the drive shaft's hauling ass. So you're going to have the ring and pinion going fast. There's, the benefit of having a little extra oil for absorbing some extra heat. So that was the thought with that. Really a lot of street driving in mind with that housing. In fact, there's a few of them ready to go right there. Got a few of them in stock. This one's actually getting ready to trim the tubes off for it. So, yeah. So anyway, the point of this video is that I made the first housing video a while ago. It's been a year, I guess, or maybe a little more. Maybe it's been 2 years. I can't remember. But a lot of stuff, I've changed a lot of things since that time. How we, our processes for welding them together, how they're put together, things like that. One of the big ones is this fixture. So I had made that first generation fixture. This pocket was open so you could weld on the inside. Well, honestly, it's just not, it wasn't nearly as beneficial as I thought, and it ended up being really hard anyways. And so I ditched that idea with the next rendition. So this one still uses all of the parts that I made for the OG one that had the open pocket, but this new table is built off of that tab and slot style design. So it has these ribs that run across, and you can see all the other ribs inside of there. This is an adapter that was made for fitting on our big ass table where the Fronius is. So, but this one is, I made this whole unit to mimic and match what I already had there. I mean, you can see the stand is the same, the wheels, all that stuff is all the same. All these pieces are the same. I did change, you can see right here, the shim. I ended up taking all these blocks and putting them back, or clamps. I put them back in the mill and chopped an 1/8 inch off of them. And then I found these shims at McMaster-Carr, and they're precision ground, and then laser cut, and they're super, super nice. So you can get these in a whole bunch of different sizes. So that one's like 127 or 125. This one's 075. So we were able to really fine tune playing with this and getting this exactly right, instead of having the shim there. So instead of taking it all back apart, putting the shim there, bolting this back down, pulling on here, you just loosen the bolts up underneath this guy and change the shim, and you could put the preload in it for the back brace. So that's way simpler of a way of doing it. And we've had a tremendous amount of luck. It's just faster, better, all the good stuff. So moving forward from there, these tables, so I've now made 2 of these tables and abused the crap out of them. Put lots and lots of load on them, all kinds of things, and this has really worked out well. So that's where it got me thinking, hey, what's the next step is, let's turn this table into something that I could DXF out and actually sell just as a DXF, and you could actually order this thing from, say, like Send Cut Send. I've got that done and actually finished that up. It turned out killer. So I had to shorten this table down to 56 inches because that's their limit for what they can cut, but all that's done. I mentioned earlier, I feel like I'm just babbling, but there's so much that I've done. There's so much time that I've spent on this. Like I can't describe to you how much, like, it's almost an obsession at this point, making all these parts and making all this stuff work. So I originally designed this thing where I moved the bolt. You can actually see it right here, clear as day. The bolt holes are not on center. And I designed it like that on purpose, thinking to myself, oh, it'll force you to always put it together in one way, gives you the top, right? Like, so these bolt holes are offset this way, and this is always the top of the housing. In fact, you can see right here that this is where the boot hole goes. So this guy right here, tink, goes right there, right? So that's where the boot hole goes. That's the drain, but I moved the drain over. This lightweight housing is really kind of dedicated towards working towards doing these as 4-link style housings. Not that they can't be done as a leaf spring, but my motivation behind these is doing them as 4 links. 090 chromoly sheet. Still 1018 or 1020 on the cold roll bar for the face plates. The tensile strength super, super close. It's really machinable. It's really nice. It's cold formed or cold worked. Super, super bitchin' material. But at any rate, I moved this guy off to the side so you could put a lower mounted wishbone. I prefer to mount them on the top, but you could mount it at the bottom right here, and that won't interfere now. Got all the tab and keys dialed in. Like, this is really killer. Like, it's super, super easy to put together, and it's really bitchin'. So having said all that, I'm looking at a camera, I have 6 minutes and 50 seconds now that I've been talking, but I want to also, so imagine it from the base up. You could buy this fixture from me, or you could buy the DXFs and you could hit send, cut, send, and put it together yourself. I do plan on also offering these assembled. So I could put it together, put it on a pallet, ship it FedEx freight. All of these parts are going to be the pieces that I make and send. As it stands right now, these are bolted in from the bottom, the same as that, right? So these bolts right here are threaded in to there, but the other bolt holes that hold it in are there. Well, what sucks about that is it makes it so if you want to take this clamp all the way off, you got to reach from the bottom. So when you reassemble all this stuff to put it back together, you got to put the bar in it, put the pucks in it, make sure everything's aligned, and then tighten this down, make sure that everything is good, right? So what I did, the next generation of this is these face plates, or I guess you call it faceplate. This plate system right here is tabbed. It's not even tabbed, it's dowel pinned. So you can see all the dowel pins right there. These are all dowel pin holes. This is specifically for my table. This is specifically for my big Fronius table over there. Okay, sorry, got distracted. So like I was saying, so these dowel pins are specifically for the Fronius table. You can see all the counterbore Allens for bolting into the faceplate. Every single bolt that's in the faceplate gets a hole, gets a bolt bolted down to make sure that, we're trying to mitigate warpage the best we can. So I'm going to make this thing, it'll be smaller, it won't be quite this big. I'm trying, like I said, this is very specific to doing exactly what we're doing with the robot and that big ass table over there. So, but this has the advantage. So these normally on the other table are bolted in from the bottom. Well, now you've got where they're dowel pinned in. So there's your dowel pin holes and your retention bolt holes. So that snaps into place right there. And then you just spin your bolts down like so. Just like that, and it's dowel pinned in, and all this was machined all in the same operation, then flipped over, touched off from machine surface, and then rechecked, made sure it's good. So both sides are perfectly accurate to each other. They're not perfectly accurate. They're within a couple thousandths of each other, right? Like extremely accurate. For building rear end housings is perfect. And basically every other weldment that we're ever going to make, like this is impressively accurate. So, now you can take this apart. You could take this off of there, get in there, weld, put this back on, slide the thing back in. So that exact same principle is going to be used here on the outside. I'm going to make it 2 different ways. I'll have to actually I'll open up the computer and show you. These bolt holes will go all the way through on one configuration, and on the other configuration, there's an aluminum bracket. Let's just turn this off. I'm going to go grab that thing real quick. Okay, so like I was saying, this video is either going to have a lot of mumbling in it or it's going to be a lot of editing. I'm not sure which one yet. Guess we're going to find out. So this clamp, normally it's the bottom half of it's tapped right there. So you thread that bolt into there to clamp this deal down. And then the bottom is threaded in the bolts are threaded in from the bottom. Well, that, like I was saying, that makes it so when you do this entire alignment on this thing, you got to slide that through there, put all the pucks in it, get all the tubes lined up, make sure your center, like the whole thing's got to go together one time, make sure it's good. If you want to take any piece off of it, well, then you end up where you have to do it again to make it so go back together. This adapter, this aluminum flange, will bolt down to this, get set, and then it's done. Then the clamps have dowel pins in them again right there. That dowel pins into there and then moves along to go into different spots in this bracket, right? And as you move that along, you thread the bolts through there, and that hole right there, that hole is now threaded. So there's a lot of bolt patterns going on here because, again, this specifically is for my giant table over there. So it's got some specific geometry going on to match that. But I'm going to simplify this. I already actually have. I'm going to go and show you. Go look at the computer real quick. Right, so you can imagine that bore. So you can imagine this bolted down to your table. This guy bolted on, your faceplate's sitting here, slide your tube in, boom, 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 away you go. And so if you want to take this off, you just unbolt it from there. But the alignment here stays aligned with this. Your dowel pin puts you right back to where you're supposed to be on center. Tighten your bolts down and away you go. So hopefully that kind of makes sense on what we got going on here. So,
all right, here it is, all set up. So 56 inches long, so you can send it to Send Cut Send. I didn't check on anybody else. I've used Send Cut Send, and those guys are awesome. So I just kind of worked around that. And plus, 56 inches gives you enough space to make a really long housing. So you're talking about if you put the housing ends on at 56. You're going to add 5 to that, so you're at 61, so it's a 61-inch wheel mount surface, and realistically, you don't technically need to have this this bracket assembly out here that I've made. You don't even need that. You can just put your angle finder on this block that holds the housing end on, and your limitation is really how far this bar sticks out, right? So this is a 60-inch long bar, so you could have it out there at 60. It makes it really long, so we're not building off-road trucks, we're building race cars, so this is plenty of length for just about every application. So, yeah, starting here, the basic stuff. So this adapter block, right? This is going to has all your counterboard Allens on this side to thread the faceplate in to this way. Holds that in place. This hole right here will be threaded, so you can put your bolt in from this direction. It makes it so that's nice and easy. You don't have to have a nut bolt kind of situation. Then you also are going to have a 1/2-inch dowel pin there, there, and there. So that makes it so it goes right back onto the same location that it was before. So when you go to change things, and then you change things, take this off, put it back on, it's dowel pin in place. These laser cut holes are extremely accurate. That'll put you back in position where you need to be. In these blocks in the center right there, you can see the 3/8 dowels right there. That'll make this so this just goes right back in place. These will also be threaded holes that'll have inserts in them, so they'll last a long time. You can see the pockets that I made around where the axle tube is. You can actually, I know that I made it see-through, so you can actually kind of see what's going on. There's the end of the axle tube right there, and you can see that there's room, right? So when there's plenty of space, it's not going to hit, and you're not going to have any issues there. Same on this side, did the same kind of thing, but you're still going to have that faceplate, that mating surface completely supported by aluminum while you're heating this thing up and welding it, and it's going to be bolted down. I've had great luck. The faceplates stay really nice and flat. This really works fantastic for making sure that this will hold a nice gasket. I got asked about an O-ring groove. Still not going to do O-ring grooves because I really much prefer that lube locker gasket. Had really good luck with that. In fact, I use them in my off-road cars. Speaking of off-road cars, and man, they work really good, especially kind of the beating, bashing it off of rocks and things like that. Just works fantastic. So I will stay with using a lube locker because I like it. So that kind of covers all of that stuff. So let's go back on an edit component here, turn it back on so you can see. So you can tell that this is an aluminum block, that's an aluminum block, there's an aluminum block. Here is the adapter side to make it so you got a dowel there and a dowel there, so it'll dowel in, and then actually there's four of them right there, so that'll dowel back into the table, and you can see that the holes will be there as well, so you could do either system. If you're just doing a couple of them a year, this might be just fine for you. If you're doing 20 or 30 of them a year, this is definitely the faster way to go, but it's more money because it's more parts. Got to buy more things. So, this is going to bolt through there. Through the table, you can see there's the gap. We get the McMaster-Carr shims to go in there. I made this sheet metal piece, some 1/4-inch plate. I'm going to slot these holes just so this is easy. The intention for this, the bar is going through there. This is a 2-inch precision ground bar from McMaster-Carr. The 60-inch one I think is $400. It's heavy and it's awesome and it's hard. I think it's Rockwell like 60 or something like that, so it's really hard. But the bar is setting. This is the concentracy down through the center. That's what's putting the housing end on. This mounting bracket out here is for just making sure that the housing end is perpendicular. For an aesthetics kind of thing. Like, technically you could just mount it wherever you wanted to, but the brakes are going to look funny. Better off just mounting it perpendicular the way it's supposed to be. So this would be less expensive, because you need less parts, but it'll get the job done the same. This is more parts, more money, more bolts, more things, but it makes it so you can move this thing around much faster. And say you want to you're putting the axle tube in, taking the axle tube out. Keep in mind too that these are split in half. I know it doesn't show in the computer for manufacturing purposes that I don't have them split. Maybe I should just split them just for the visual. But this will be split. You pop this bolt out. You can slide this all apart. It makes it really fast and easy. That's the same principle here. So this table or this fixture has all of its holes cut in one operation on the laser. All of these holes are cut in one operation on the mill. This is 2 operations, but it's you touch off on it from a machine surface and you get really good accuracy from there. And this is going to dowel pin back on the table. So I went ahead and changed this. I did single dowel pins on my own stuff, but I'm going to do double dowel pins. That's just a better mechanism for getting that thing straight again. And then I'll make these holes 531, so they'll be easy to drop the bolts through. So there you go. So the plan is, I'm going to put a whole series together of putting this together. I'm going to go on Send Cut Send, upload my DXFs, and then show you what that looks like, and then get it ordered, and I'll show you how it's I'll unpallet it and show you what that looks like, and then we'll assemble this thing, and then all these parts and pieces will all be made, and then we will make a housing. I will make a housing from start to finish on this fixture, and then that's how that's going to be. So you'll be able to buy lightweight faceplates, standard faceplates. This particular housing is its own thing. It's all of its pieces have to be all of its pieces, but I intend on offering it as the pieces as well, same as the back braces. So you'll be able to buy all these pieces from me just as you see them, and they'll show up press broke, tab and keyed, ready to lock in place. Slap this thing all together, start welding it, put your ends on, put your brackets on, make it however you see fit, whatever the situation is. That is the how this is all going to be done. So yeah, this is there's your preview. I'm going to start making all this stuff, and I made all the DXFs. I've finished up all the holes, so this thing's ready to go. Next video will be about making it. So okay, finishing this stuff up.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap the video up there. There's gonna be a bunch more stuff that comes out. In fact, I'm gonna do a step-by-step guide on assembling one of these too, using this fixture, using all these parts and pieces, and making sure that you can you got a guide to follow. There are a bunch of features that we've done. So you see that those tab and keys over there, drop in like that. Like that snaps all together. This makes it really, really easy to weld, right? Like perfect gaps and stuff like that. The stuff is all sorted out. So there's a bunch of stuff that to look for, things that are make it easier to assemble, blah, 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 blah. But that's the intent. That's my intention is I want to be able to supply a guy. You could buy the fixture. You can have it cut, send. You could, I'm also going to offer them already pre-built. Just slap it on the FedEx freight truck. And then all these aluminum parts that will be the thing that my big contribution to this whole project, plus the engineering, right? And then they can be like this, or they could be like that setup over there, like I showed you earlier. And so keep on the lookout. I'm going to be making more and more of this stuff, and this housing is pretty much ready to start tacking together and saying, hey, this is how you put this thing together. So, okay, have a good weekend, and until next time, catch you guys later.